It's Tuesday, May 19. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. 1,044 Jamaican crew members aboard Royal Caribbean Cruise Line's Adventure of the Seas vessel will be allowed to disembark on Tuesday and must follow strict quarantine protocols. They must consent to being monitored using technology through the JAMA COVID-19 app and will be required to do a video check-in multiple times per day. Marlon Samuels has more.
Jamaican workers aboard the Royal Caribbean cruise ship Adventure of the Seas will be allowed back into the island today, May 18. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made that announcement at a Jamaica House virtual media briefing on Monday. The issue had garnered public interest due to utterances from the parliamentary opposition. But the Prime Minister said the administration had been mum on the issue owing to ongoing negotiations with the cruise line.
From the 21st of April, the government of Jamaica wrote to our partners in the cruise ship industry that we have had long-standing relationships with the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, expressing our willingness to explore possibilities for repatriation. We didn't need anybody to tell the government of Jamaica that we should explore those possibilities. We wrote. So those who are trying to claim paternity and somehow to become the defenders of people's rights, we weren't bragging to the people about that. We were doing our job as the government. It's important that I say it in this way. I've avoided any sort of, political nuance, but it is clear that there are those who are seeking to exploit crisis for political gains. And I urge the people of Jamaica, do not be distracted by them, as your government in your service will not be distracted.
Mr. Holness outlined the protocols for the disembarking of Jamaicans.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness will create a sterile zone around the port to conduct testing. The cruise ship workers will be disembarked in groups of 200 every 48 to 72 hours, and after testing will be taken to the Grand Bahia Principe, where they will be accommodated. They will each, as I said, be tested, and the 48 to 72 hour period is to allow time for results to be available.
He also outlined the expectations for home quarantines.
Persons whose tests are positive will be moved into a state quarantine facility until they recover. All others will be allowed to go home and self-quarantine for a further period to 14 days from the date of disembarkation. The home quarantine period will end 14 days after they disembark the vessel. Persons allowed to quarantine at home will need to consent to have their locations geofenced using smart technology through the JAM COVID-19 app, and to do a video check-in multiple times a day while in quarantine.
On March 24, Jamaica had closed its borders to incoming passenger traffic as a means to shield the country against importing the COVID-19 virus. This left thousands of Jamaicans stranded overseas. Up to Tuesday morning, Jamaica has recorded 520 persons with the virus, with 9 deaths and 131 recoveries. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.
The Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC, and Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE, papers will begin on July 27. Education Minister Carl Samuda made the disclosure at a digital press conference on Monday.
It is now decided that we will write the exam. We will have two through the internet and also the paper-based exams. So we will do our best to ensure that we facilitate our students in the best possible way, to give them the best chance to maximize their potential as they go forward. We will write the CSEC on the 27th of July. Starting on the 27th, it takes about a couple of weeks into August to complete it. But the process will start on the 27th of July. And the question of social distance, it can be accommodated quite easily because all the other children are out of school, and it will be quite convenient. We will get through quite well.
The government had said, given the uncertainty from the COVID-19 pandemic, it would reserve a final position on CSEC's decision to set the exams in July. However, a number of high school principals opined that delaying the exams could upend the start of the new academic year for first-year tertiary students. Minister Samuda says some schools are ready for the exams and others are not.
One thing is quite clear, is that we are going into these exams and we are not entirely ready for the exams in certain schools. In other schools, very ready. But in some schools, not quite ready. Because the view of the ministry, Jamaica's position, we wanted a predictive grade through the use of the student-based assessment to determine an approximately or an appropriate grade for the students without having to write the exam.
As the country begins the process of reopening the economy, Prime Minister Andrew Holness provided an update on Monday regarding the current work-from-home orders, which expire on May 31.
The current work-from-home orders will expire at the end of May. We intend to allow persons other than our vulnerable population, that is persons aged 65 and over or persons with comorbidities, we intend to allow all other persons who are working persons to be allowed to return to work effective June 1.
The work-from-home measure was put in place to help curb the spread of the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. Mr. Holness said the government is working with the private sector organization of Jamaica to develop safety protocols for businesses.
Of course, all the normal infection prevention and safety protocols would need to be in place. The various protocols for factories, workplaces, banking halls, etc., are being developed in conjunction with the private sector organization of Jamaica. From a public health standpoint, in terms of where we are in the progression of this pandemic, we are now at the point where we can say to our Jamaican workforce that you should return to work. So we will lift the work from home orders. Well, not lift is not, we will allow it to expire. So they come to an end at the 31st of May. So I want you to consider this announcement as notice that this will be done. During this notice period, the Pbcj, working through the Economic Recovery Committee, will, in collaboration with the government, will finalize what the new workplace protocols should look like. And this will give time for those protocols to be put in place.
The Prime Minister was speaking at a press conference at Jamaica House on Monday. The Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, says the suspension of 4 guaranteed standards for the National Water Commission, NWC, won't disrupt customers' water supply and water bills. The OUR announced last month that it had accepted a request from the NWC to suspend 4 of its guaranteed standards for 3 months, April 1 to June 30. The NWC cited constraints caused by the measures implemented by the government to curtail the spread of COVID-19 and its own precautionary island-wide measures to address staff and public health safety concerns as the reasons for the suspension. Professor Evan Duggan has been appointed interim president of the embattled Caribbean Maritime University, CMU. As of June 1, Duggan replaces Professor Fitz Pinnock, who is now on leave of absence amid fraud and other criminal charges. Duggan's appointment is one of two key changes at the CMU. Chartered accountant Joy Harrison has also been named treasurer. She will be expected to play a lead role in fixing the administrative issues in the CMU's finance department. In January, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced a new CMU council headed by Port Authority of Jamaica President Professor Gordon Shirley. It followed a damning Auditor General's report which uncovered serious governance issues and financial irregularities. Let's now check in for news from the forex and stock markets. Gabriel Thompson gives us the business report.
In Monday's trading session, the JSE combined index advanced by 2,265 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 85 stocks, of which 38 advanced, 30 declined, and 17 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 8 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services, Barita Investments, and Blue Power Group. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, and Caribbean Cream. Trading firm were 1834 Investments Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company, and CSEC 2000 Limited. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial was the volume leader with 6.6 million units, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 5.7 million units and Derrimon Trading Company Limited with over 3 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Monday, May 18 ended trading at $147.38. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $106.24. The pound sterling traded for $180.83 and the euro ended trading at $162.86. Oil prices were steady on Tuesday amid signs that producers are cutting output as promised, while traders awaited more clarity on the demand picture as some countries ease out of lockdowns. Benchmark Brent crude futures was unchanged from its last close at $34.81 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 73 cents to settle at $32.55 a barrel. That's it for the business report on PBCJ. I'm Gabriel Thompson.
In regional news, the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, says it is dispensing almost $67 million in emergency loans available to 7 Caribbean countries to finance the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Barbados-based bank's board of directors approved $66.7 million for Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Suriname. The emergency loans will expand fiscal space to allow these countries to meet their urgent financing needs without diverting resources from critical social expenditures or health emergency needs. It estimates that many of these countries will fall into recession this year. And we go to Guyana, where the national recount of the March 2 general elections continues. A ballot box found with incorrect official list of electors was one of the issues unearthed during Monday's recount exercise. Felicia Valenzuela from InfoHub was on hand, and she filed this report.
It's now day 13 of the national recount of ballots of the March 2nd general and regional elections here in Guyana at the Artichon Conference Center. Well, earlier today, the commissioners of GCOM were set to be meeting. Among the issues we believe they'll be discussing, of course, would be the construction of new stations, bearing, of course, on the recommendation of the National COVID-19 Task Force. Well, just about midday or so, the media was alerted to an incident which took place during the count at Station 8, We spoke with Varun Mahadio, party agent of the APNU AFC.
This morning, when the first box came, while the box was examined, we have noticed that there was an incorrect OLE, the list of electors, in that box. What happened is that when we correspond the amount of ballot issued for that specific division, there was the list had 363 person in it, but we only had about 329 ballots that was issued. So right away, we were able to determine that there was a problem because there was the less amount of ballot issued to the amount of electors on the list.
Mahadio said the matter was brought to the attention of GCOM, and we expect that a decision would be made by the Commission soon.
After the staff at GCOM, the supervisor, went through to investigate exactly what happened, they actually noticed that the list was actually in a total different box. So that issue was actually taken up to the Commission, where the Commission would actually make a decision going forward on that specific box. The box was sealed and returned back to the container, waiting decision from the Commission.
From the Artichon Conference Center with videographer Akeem Thomas, Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
As of Monday, May 18, 2020, St. Lucia has recorded a total of 18 confirmed cases of COVID-19. All 18 cases are fully recovered. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar George updated the nation.
As of May 18, 2020, the World Health Organization reported a total of 4,525,497 confirmed cases of COVID-19 globally, with 307,395 deaths. There are now 1,966,932 confirmed cases in the region of the Americas. As of May 18, 2020, St. Lucia has recorded a total of 18 confirmed cases of COVID-19. All 18 cases are fully recovered. On Monday, May 18, 2020, results for 41 samples were received and they were all negative. These samples were due to increased community testing. This brings a total of 827 tests conducted to date. Although we have maintained a low transmission level of COVID-19 in country, we remind the public that we are still at risk and must maintain and remain vigilant as the threat remains. As we continue with the phased reopening, we must ensure that all protocols are adhered to.
Businesses were slated to resume full operations on May 18. However, the CMO advised that all business owners should ensure that full safety protocols are followed.
The Ministry of Commerce has advised that businesses are permitted to recommence full operations from Monday, May 18, 2020. Although approval for opening is not required at this time, business places are required to review the relevant protocols to ensure they comply with physical distancing, infection prevention and control, occupational health and safety measures. The protocols documents can be accessed via the websites www.covid19response.lc or govt.lc and the Facebook pages of the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Bureau of Health Education.
The Ministry of Health encourages the public to continue adopting the recommended infection prevention and control measures and physical distancing measures when going out in public.
We encourage the population to continue adopting the recommended infection prevention and control measures and physical distancing measures when going out into the public. We would like to see these measures also adopted at the community level as well. We continue to request that every individual practices standard recommendations to prevent the spread of infection. These include regular hand washing with soap and water or alcohol-based hand sanitizers where soap and water is not available, to cover the mouth and the nose with disposable tissues when coughing and sneezing, avoid close contact with anyone showing symptoms of respiratory illness such as coughing and sneezing, wear your homemade or cloth mask whenever venturing out from home, maintain a 6-foot distance when in public even while wearing a mask, Seek medical attention if you have symptoms suggestive of respiratory illness, either during or after travel. Refrain from touching items unless you intend to buy them when grocery shopping and otherwise. The Department of Health and Wellness will continue providing regular updates on COVID-19.
As more countries embark on a phased reopening of their economies, the same is true for some of the Bahama Islands, in particular the Family Islands. We get more in this ZNS News report.
4 family islands now added to the list of provinces able to resume commercial activity. It's a step forward as components of Phase 2 are introduced under the government's economy reopening plan, and a signal of progress made, especially for Cat Islanders, eager to take advantage of one specific mandate under the newest phase.
We are pretty happy, and I do think the crafters were persons who are in the craft industry. It comes as very good positive news for those persons out there. I do think that the business persons like myself, they are very, very, very happy about it. You know, that we can now commence doing business again. Yes, we understand that we still have to take the necessary measures.
Also among the islands joining the southern Bahamas in convening normal business activity are Andros, Long Island, and Abaco, whose residents face yet another devastating blow due to COVID-19. And for many residents on the northern island halted while putting their lives back together, this is the news they've been waiting for.
We were already kind of stagnant due to the storm, and then with the whole COVID madness, and now, you know, it's like finally a breath of fresh air, especially with a lot of the small businesses. Granted, the food stores were open, but a lot of the, you know, moms and pop stores and other shops were not allowed pretty much to operate during the lockdown. So it's definitely great for the people of Abaco.
But notably excluded from this step forward are Eleuthera and Exuma. It's an omission that has many islanders feeling upset and overlooked, some on the fence and some trusting the process.
I want you to know that all is well in Exuma. We are not upset because we know God us. And we have high expectation, that we know when COVID is over, that Exuma will pick up wherever we left off from. And we believe that we are in a good position to hit the ground running, as they say.
Anthony Smith, ZNS Network News.
Trinidad and Tobago's Police Commissioner Gary Griffith is promising to put an end to criminal elements being awarded state contracts. Speaking at a police media briefing on Monday, Commissioner Griffith said the state contracts vary from the construction of roads to repairs of bridges and construction of drains, the building of homes and homework centers and play parks.
Fighting with each other over state contracts has continued to be a major problem. They put hits to use, and they use the profit from the contracts to put hits on other persons, to buy more weapons, to use it as a front for drug blocks, to purchase more drugs. Presently, intelligence has revealed the gangs who have the state contracts. We have names, we have companies, who they use as fronts, the type of contracts, and where they're getting it, and the cost.
In sports, congratulations are pouring in for Jamaican sprint legend Usain Bolt. Bolt and his partner, Cassie Bennett, welcomed their first child, a baby girl, on Sunday. Prime Minister Andrew Holness took to Instagram saying, quote, "Congratulations to our sprint legend Usain Bolt and Cassie Bennett on the arrival of their baby girl." And in a follow-up story, the Jamaica Football Federation will be taking strong action against Reggae Boys winger Leon Bailey following his recent criticism of the federation and head coach Theodore Tapper Whitmore. During a recent interview on Instagram, the 22-year-old said that the current squad of players is capable of qualifying for the 2022 FIFA World Cup, and the only thing that can deny them that opportunity is the Jamaica Football Federation. General Secretary of JFF, Dalton Wint, says Bailey's comments were very unfortunate and misguided, and therefore the Federation would be meeting shortly to determine what kind of action would be taken against the player. In the weather report, at 5 a.m. Tuesday, the center of Tropical Storm Arthur was located near latitude 37.0 degrees north, longitude 70.6 degrees west. Arthur is moving toward the north-northeast near 24 kilometers per hour. A turn toward the east is expected this morning. Arthur is then forecast to slow down and turn toward the south in another day or so. Arthur is forecast to become post-tropical later Tuesday. Slight strengthening is possible, but a general weakening trend is expected to begin by Wednesday. Arthur is expected to dissipate by the end of the week. Tropical Storm Arthur is not a threat to Jamaica. The Meteorological Service will continue, though, to monitor the progress of this system. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks so much for watching.